The following DVD conversions of numerous 8mm and 16mm silent home movie segments from the 1940s and 50s bring back to us the many fond memories of growing up on the island of Oahu during the 1940s and 1950s.
I remember hearing the gentle roar of the surf at night when drifting off to sleep, beachcombing for shells, catching sand crabs, swimming with friends at Waikiki, and discovering hidden coves around the island.
Here is a larger view of the section of Oahu that we'll be zooming in on, but it shows the green Ko'olau Range, which separates the Pearl Harbor on the left with Kaneohe on the right, and Honolulu. Now we are on the section showing Diamond Head here on the left, and Koko Head and Koko Crater, Hanamo Bay on the right. And we'll be zooming in on the dredged area of Wailupi Peninsula. We're showing all the current houses, none of which were present either on the peninsula. You see the dredged area here, and none of the houses were going up the Veloute Valley. Here's my invention of a sailing surfboard, complete with lee boards, rudder, long before sunfishes were invented. Didn't realize what a model I had fun with, and that's how I learned to sail. When I would sail this alone, I'd steer the rudder with my feet and handle the sail with my hands lying on the surfboard. It's the same surfboard we saw sitting up against the kiawe trees. This was long before the advent of the short styrofoam boards. The design would be twice the height of the surfer. There were solid surfboards, and then my neighbor was a carpenter who built me these two hollow boards where they could be drained when water got into the innards, but it made them very buoyant.
We had a good time helping Gilbert enjoy the sailboat. Here I am swimming down in front of our house along with Joycelyn.
You'll see the waves breaking out at the limit of the coral reef, and I was not allowed to go out beyond those breakers, even with my little motorboat. Back in 1945 and 46, it was decided to dredge around the Mullet Pond.
The Mullet Pond was surrounded by a black lava rock wall, which they said the Menahunis built. They were the magical little men that worked very fast at night and did things like building walls.
For a long time, they raised mullet, favorite fish. There's Koko Crater, Koko Head Crater, Koko Head, and the dredge, piping. This is the auger. It was part of this equipment that was pushed up on the neighbor's front yard during the tidal wave of April 1st, 1946. Here you can see part of the pond filled in, somebody rowing on the remainder of the pond, and we'll soon see Diamond Head from the rear view in that portion of the picture. We are now panning all the way down to the Ko'olau Range mountains that lead up the Wailupi Valley. Veloute Valley had Hein Clark Dairy back in those days. There is the eject portion of the dredge and what it looked like after it had been deposited. Now Aina Haina is the development in the Hein Clark Dairy portion of that valley. There's my sister Jane. What are you doing there, Jane?
Well, I used to like to walk along on the fresh coral and look for special shells.
Those were the shells that were brought up from the bottom with the coral from the dredged area.
We lived at the very end of Veloute Place. My mother named it Veloute Place. And in the background you can see Veloute Valley. This is before they built houses all going up into the valley, Aina Haina and all the other developments. That's where we used to ride our bikes across the Hein Clark Dairy and also hike up into the valley. Passing in front, the main highway was Kalanianiole Highway, where we would walk out to catch the bus to take it into school or into town. There were other times where we had a lot of rain, and the storm sewers would get plugged, and we would get a flood. And this is one of those times. Now, as you can see, we have the whole road is flooded. There's Blitzy out there.
Not as much water as a tidal wave, but still a lot of water.
Exactly.
And you can see we were one lot back from the beach.
So you can see the nice fence that my mother had built all around our property. She liked privacy very much. So a lot of the little kids used to come and peek through the fence to see what we had behind there. Because she had hedges also planted in front of the fence.
And our aunt worked at the University of Hawaii and got the first seeds for the passion fruit lily koi. They were planted all around, so early on I enjoyed lily koi juice much more than orange juice.
She also used to make it into passion fruit ice cream, which was a real
I'd
treat.
forgotten about that.
So I don't think you can buy any passion fruit ice cream today.
Shows some of the older model cars available at that time. Smaller fences, one of the neighbor's yards, young palm trees. It was impressive enough that you see I took a lot of movies with the early 8mm or 16mm movie camera.
Now this is a picture of our backyard. There's the storeroom and shop that was built. My brother had his workshop back there. I believe you have the workbench, don't you?
Yeah, workbench is here. There's the rabbit cages that I'd built.
Good thing you built them high off the ground, Gilbert.
Yeah, they were that way. The droppings went through the spaces. I think it was 5/8 inch spaces. ducks, Muscovy ducks, enjoying the flood waters. Rabbits I made use of during internship when I did the pregnancy tests on rabbits. I got to take the rabbit home for eating afterwards.
Now there's the big
Muscovy
metal.
ducks.
Oh, yeah, those were Muscovy ducks, but we burned our trash in the backyard in that big trash burner.
55-gallon drum.
Oh, okay. And it looks like a lot of lumber out there. I think they were projects waiting to be done.
That's what the fence looked like from the inside, with shrubs growing up.
So that was the only time we ever wore boots in Hawaii, was in a flood.
Here we are at the Honolulu Dock, waiting for the Matsonia to bring my father back from a mainland meeting. It was a long trip that took 4 days and 5 nights, and the crowd would be waiting, equipped with leis that they had bought from the local lei sellers that would be at the dock. And there is the Matsonia.
When my mother first came to Hawaii, she came as a young bride to the island of Maui, and the boat came to Lahaina, Maui. They didn't have a dock that she could depart on. She had to crawl down a rope ladder and get in a little boat and come in to the shore. And there my father met her.
She really wondered where she was going from Canada to this tiny island reception.
My mother was a very adventurous person.
Yes, all her friends said she was crazy to take off to that remote place in the middle of the Pacific. Here's girlfriend Barbie Carter and I taking the boating equipment out to the Walupi area to put on my boat, the Sea Flea. There is Coco Head in the background. During the war years on the Coco Head Plateau, they had amphib tanks which would load onto the LSTs before an invasion, so we always knew a few months before an invasion. After the war, I found a socket wrench that had been dropped by one of the amphib tank people. And here we are a second time, same picture, taking the equipment. My friend Barbie Carter doing the work so I could film the picture. Here in the background behind Barbie is the Veloute Valley, which when I was young was the dairy farm. It subsequently became the development called Aina Haina. Oh, these pictures are underexposed. I guess I hadn't preset the camera to the right aperture when I gave it to my mother to take these pictures, but they will show some of the detail. There you see in the background the coral is settled enough on the dredge-filled Walupi Circle so cars could drive on it. There is an outrigger canoe anchored at the edge of the dredge portion. I had to row out to where the water was deep enough to run the outboard, and there'd be times when we could navigate all the way to Coco Head inside the reef. Out in the dredged area we were able to catch crabs, and this is a Samoan crab which we enjoyed eating after the picture. We would have these round nets and put bait in them, lower them down for 15-20 minutes, pull them up quickly, and if we were lucky there'd be a crab or two enjoying the bait.